I'm here just to quickly introduce this very important launch of the Center for Global Energy Policy. The center has been in operation for some time, so this is not, in fact, the actual beginning of the work, but it is a very important moment for us to celebrate this launch, or this center, and to use it as the occasion to begin to think broadly about questions of energy policy. Let me just begin by, I'll turn this over to Rob Lieberman in just a second, but I want to thank a few people for being here, in particular Mayor Bloomberg. The mayor has done many things with and especially for Columbia, and we're always grateful for his presence here. And he has done an enormous amount, of course, for the city, not least of which is to focus on climate change and to create a sustainability initiative. This was done in 2007. We at Columbia are part of this, and I'm happy to say that we are now halfway toward our goal of achieving a 30% reduction in greenhouse gas emissions on this campus. So we're very, very pleased and proud to have the mayor here this morning. I also want to thank and welcome Tom Donilon, President Obama's National Security Advisor, Daniel Poneman, who until yesterday had been serving as Deputy Secretary of the U.S. Department of Energy and has now been named Acting Secretary, and Carlos Pascual, the Obama Administration's Special Envoy for International Energy Affairs. There's nothing more important to the world than energy and therefore energy policy. I mean, it's just absolutely vital to modern life. We sort of all know that, and yet we don't know a lot about it. And we're really too ignorant, in my view, about all the array of issues connected with energy, even the basic facts of kinds of energy, where energy comes from, and what it means. And that lack of knowledge really extends, in my view, to the academic world as well. When I began teaching as a young law professor in the 1970s, constitutional law, U.S. constitutional law, had already become center stage in the intellectual life of law schools across the United States, and it remains more or less there today. But before that, up until about 1960, 1965, every law school would have an expert on oil and gas, as it was called, and there would be a course on oil and gas law. Energy, as it even became more important, was crowded towards the periphery, and in many law schools across the country today, my bet is, although I haven't done the research to confirm this, is that we do not have regular courses on energy law. I'm not just picking on law schools. I just do that because I happen to know about law schools. I think, broadly speaking, across the university academic disciplines, we are devoting, in a way, too few intellectual resources, or energy, as it were, to these very important questions. And so I welcome this center deeply, not just for the importance of the subject and for the importance of Columbia's involvement in this, but I welcome it really as, I think, a wedge into bringing intellectual resources along into this large subject. So my view, again, is every educated person ought to come out of a university, especially one like this, with a fairly extensive knowledge of this subject. And my hope is that it will do that, among other things. So we're very happy to have somebody as sophisticated, as dedicated, as knowledgeable about this as Jason Bordoff to lead this very important center. So let me turn this over now to Rob Lieberman, who's been helpful and responsible for setting this up, the Interim Dean of School of International Public Affairs. Thank you.
Thank you, Lee, for joining us and for helping to inaugurate the Center on Global Energy Policy. On behalf of the School of International and Public Affairs, I'm delighted to be here to celebrate the beginning of this new venture. We're especially proud to be launching the Center on Global Energy Policy today, which, as Lee said, is an enormously important venture for the school and for the university, and we think for the country and for the world, because the topic and the focus of this center is so important and is so crucial to so many of the core global public policy issues that face the world today. We like to think humbly that there's no better place to undertake this kind of work than at SIPA, which is the world's most global public policy school. We're dedicated to thinking and teaching and learning about public policy issues that are by their very nature transnational, that cross boundaries, that are global, that engage different parts of the world, different disciplines, different kinds of enterprises. And energy policy are increasingly at the center of that nexus of things that SIPA and the global public policy community care about. Energy policy is important critically for issues like economic and political development, international security, sustainability, urbanism, and the need to create livable cities around the world in an era in which more than 50% of the world's population now lives in cities. And the capacity to really understand and make progress on key issues of energy security, of energy supply, and energy demand will be critical to helping our students, our faculty, and our colleagues think carefully about these issues and help to solve, to address some of the world's most knotty and pressing and deep policy problems. So we're very, very excited to be launching the center. The center has really, as Lee said, the center has been in operation for a few months now and has really gotten off to a fantastic start. We've hosted several very important events already this semester. The Minister of Petroleum and Natural Gas for India discussed energy security in the Asia region. The Assistant Secretary of Defense and a SIPA alum, I should add, Sharon Burke, came to discuss the Defense Department's view of critical energy activities and their connection with national security. The center has recently announced its first fellow, David Sandilow, former acting Undersecretary of Energy and U.S. Assistant Secretary for Policy and International Affairs. David will be joining the school next year and will spend the year as the inaugural fellow of the center. We're very excited to have him as a member of the Columbia community and the SIPA community for next year. So I think you'll agree, and I think after today you'll see why we expect the center to really bring into very sharp focus these key issues relating to energy and its connection to all of the other global public policy challenges that the world faces, to do it in a way that adheres to the highest academic standards in research, to bring together key players from academia and the policy world and the business world in a productive way, in a constructive way that brings insights from all of these sectors and all of these worlds together so that we can make progress on these important issues. To accomplish all this, we had to find someone to make this all happen. This was a vision that has been brewing at Columbia and at SIPA for a long time. I should say that this is not really the initiation of energy studies at SIPA, but the continuation and building on a platform that's been in existence at the school for more than 10 years. So we are really, in a sense, not launching, but relaunching the study of energy and energy policy at SIPA. But to accomplish that relaunch, we had to find someone who could bring to Columbia all of these virtues: a deep knowledge of the field, a deep appreciation and capacity to bring the highest standards of research and academic quality to the things that the center accomplishes, and incredible connections in the energy world. And we found that person in Jason Bordoff. Jason has arrived at Columbia this past winter as a professor of professional practice in international public affairs. He came to Columbia from the White House, where it seems that he held just about every job available, working at various times for the National Economic Council, the White House Council on Economic Quality, Environmental Quality, and the National Security Council, as really in a senior leadership position at precisely the nexus of energy policy and economic policy, international trade, security policy, and all of the things that then energy touches for the president. We're delighted that he's brought his expertise and his knowledge and his network to Columbia. And I'm very delighted and pleased to introduce to you Jason Bordoff, the director of the Center on Global Economic Policy.